is just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life. And I was thinking just the other day that I had received some candles, and I was really excited and everything, for receiving the candles. And I opened one and I was smelling it, and it was just really nice. And I realized I didn't have any matches to light the candle. And so the candle was basically useless and unable to serve its purpose without having the fire to burn, to burn the candle. And, once I, was able to find a piece of paper and use the stove to get fire, and was able to light the candle, and the candle started burning, and then it started producing an aroma, a smell, a scent, and it started to spread throughout the room. And so the candle with the fire was serving its purpose. And number one, it was burning, and also it was producing an aroma in the room that smelled really nice. So it was great. And so with men or man, we cannot live without a spiritual life. Now there are a lot of men that are existing and, just going through the motions, or, just doing whatever. But when you have a spiritual life, a connection with God, that you acknowledge God as your creator, and that without him you can't do anything, that he is my source, he's my substance, he's what keeps me going. If you don't have that, then you're not truly living. But once you have God in your life and you have that spiritual connection, then you have life. You have what it takes to serve your purpose and what God created man for. And so we must have that spiritual life, every man. And you can go a step further and say woman, because out of man came woman. And so we all have to have that spiritual life, that source, in order for us to serve our purpose. Tonight, have a great topic, and I always say that because I feel like the topics that I try to talk about are things that have meaning to me, and I believe others as well. But tonight's topic is role of man, ROLE, of man. And so I was thinking about, in the beginning, when God created man, God created him in his own image. And not only did he create him, but once he created him, he gave man dominion, power over everything that God had created. And God saw man, after telling him, that you're over, all the animals and everything. And he saw man alone, and he felt that it wasn't good for man to be alone. So he created woman for man. And I was thinking about the scripture, Psalms 8:4. And it was saying, what is man that thou art mindful of him, and the son of man that thou visitest him? For thou hast made him a little lower than the angels, and hast crowned him with glory and honor. Thou hast madest him to have dominion over the works of thy hands. thou hast put all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, yea, and the beasts of the field, the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, and whatsoever passes through the paths of the sea. So God created man and gave him all this power and everything over everything God created with his hand. And he, allowed man to be a steward over it. And so I was thinking about, in regards to the role of man. So God thought enough of man that he would give him a responsibility, that he would entrust him, and that he would always be there for him, and that man could rule everything up to God. And so when it comes to a role, I think about a purpose. Like what is the purpose? What is your purpose? And so I was thinking about how in this day and time you look at man, and man doesn't look so good in the eyes of woman. He has failed so many times. You look at, even in the garden, he failed there. You look in businesses, he's failed. You look in homes, he's failed. You look in society as a whole, and man has failed. And so when I was looking at Psalms, the 8th chapter and the 4th verse, and it says, what is man that thou art mindful of him? Why are you concerned, God? Why are you concerned with man when he has failed so many times? He's been a disappointment. Everything he is involved with, it seems like he fails. Something goes wrong. So God, why are you so mindful of him? And to me, it sounds like the angels was like, we're above man. But yet you're so mindful of him. You want to visit him. You want to make sure he's okay. Why is that, God? Why is that you are so concerned about man? And I think about that God is concerned about man, but what about us as a society, human beings? You think about, the animal kingdom, and how different animals like the lion, and how they are looked upon as this great power, and this creature that that is set above many of the other animals, and he's almost like a king, and he carries himself as such, and everybody knows, all the other animals know, about the lion and what he's capable of, and this place that he holds. And so many are doubting, or are not seeing man as God sees man. And it takes God to be able to see us, and to be able to look beyond our faults, and yet, see the good, or to see the potential, to see that we can be more than what we are at the present time. But he sees down the road what, once we reach our potential, what we can be. But in society, man as a whole, uh, is viewed as, in our churches, everywhere, man is just viewed as a failure. And if I could have some women guests on tonight, they probably would say that possibly not all women, but some women would probably say that, the world would be a better place without man. And that a woman could do a better job, And one thing I was thinking about as I was, going over this subject is that God created man, but then he said it wasn't good for man to be alone. And he put man in a deep sleep, and he removed the rib from him. And he took that rib and he created a woman. And so out of the man came the woman. And so then the way I look at it, and I'm not trying to be biased, because I get it that, I am a man and I have failed in so many different areas of my life. There's numerous things where I could have done better and been a better man, but I failed. I came short. But the thing about it, whether you're a man or a woman, we all have faults. We all have failures. We all, disappoint. We all, do things that we make others sad, or we disappoint others. So we all have our failures, and what my failure may not be yours, but we have some things that we all deal with. But the role of man is a very, very, very interesting subject, because I think about why did God create man? Why didn't he create something else and say, hey, I want you to have dominion over everything? But he chose to create man. He chose to create man. And I know there's some people that will say, when it comes to the Bible, that some man wrote it, so of course it's going to be geared towards man being at the top, and everybody else is below him. And I just believe, just like with the animal kingdom, that every animal in nature has its purpose. It has its purpose. It has a role that it plays. And it doesn't take anything away from the other animals. They all serve a purpose. And it's something about when they're working in harmony, they're working together, how that things are just, they are balanced. They work the way they're supposed to. And you may see a lion eating a zebra or some other animal or whatever, but it's all a part of the cycle. It's all part of the cycle. And it does not, because that lion eats that zebra, that does not make the zebra extinct. But it's part of the process of everybody still living. Everybody's still, the zebra population doesn't go away, but it continues to go because the zebra has something that it does, that it eats and everything. So everything works in its place. And so man has a role that God, from the beginning, he created man to have dominion over everything. And I was thinking about how it doesn't matter if you're on a job, at church, in a home, every, if you go, especially like if you go on a job, and if there was no management or no team lead or something like that, people would just do whatever. But you have to have somebody that is leading and in control so that people know what to do and what is important and what things should we be focused on today. What is coming down from the business that, hey, these are some projects or things that you need to focus on. But without having that leadership, somebody in place, people would just do whatever. And it's the same thing at church. If there was nobody there to say, hey, this is what we need. We need to pray. The church is in a place now where we've heard a lot of preaching. We've sung, we give God the praises and everything, but we need to pray. There's so much for us to pray for. But that comes down from leadership, that, hey, because sometimes we as individuals, we don't see that far. We only see like, okay, my family or this or that or whatever. But when God has somebody in place, has somebody in that role, that they, through his instruction, through his spirit, through his guidance, they can instruct others like, okay, we need to pray or we need to fast or, whatever it may be, that it might be beneficial to the church so that you can move forward and grow. And so the role of man is very important in the grand scheme of everything. But one of the things I want to touch on is disappointment, the disappointment in man. And you look at government, especially now, 2018, you can see a government that is very divided. And it's like most of the focus is on man, that, there's a man that is basically viewed in a certain way, and that, basically is failing the country as a whole because of his views and his beliefs and different things. So he, again, another man that is looked upon as, that has failed. And so I want tonight to just talk about what is the real role of man. What do you think? How do you see man in the big picture of this life? How do you see him? What do you feel his role is? And, some may say, well, I don't need a man, and others may say, I need a man. And I was thinking about how, a man, somebody may view him as just, if I need my car fixed or I need some stuff done around the house, the plumbing or whatever, fixing something, then yes, I need a man. But as far as somebody to take care of me, to look out for me and provide that security, to make me feel secure, I don't need that. I can handle that. But or a man, I need a man just for pleasure, you know. But I really want to know just how, men and women, how do you view the role of man? Again, in our churches, in our homes, you know, just how, what is his role? I mean, why, I read in the beginning how God created him in his own image and gave him dominion over everything that he created with his hands. But then how do we see him in 2018? How do we see man? Is he serving his purpose? Is he serving the role that he needs to? That this world can be a better place. That our communities, our homes, on our jobs, that they can be productive and better places because of man. And it's interesting that man sometimes don't even know his role, his purpose. He just feels that I'm here, and sometimes he belittles himself that I'm just here. I'm just here. I'm just taking it day by day, which you should live day by day and be thankful for each day. But what is it that you're doing? Are you making an impact? Are you making producing or doing anything that is making the world better, or making your home better, making your church better, making your neighborhood better? But I think about there is a shortage of men, and so it's hard to identify really what the role is of man, because it's a shortage of men that are actually taking their rightful place. And I was thinking about the black community and how that many black men are incarcerated, and so they're unable to be a help in their communities, in their homes, on jobs, in churches. They're not there to even be a help, to be that pillar in the grand scheme of things. And you look around, even at church, you look around and you see more women and children than you do men. And so because of failures, a lot of time men don't take their rightful place. They don't know their role. And because they failed in so many different things, they kind of take a step back. Even when it comes to supporting things, I think about if somebody was to start a business, and most of the time you'll get more women that will support it than men. And it's like men have taken a step back and basically like, okay, I failed, I've come short, so why not let the woman take the lead? You find that more women now are, even when it comes to relationships and things, that women are stepping out and proposing and asking a man to marry them and all this kind of stuff, and they're being the breadwinner, and just taking the lead on everything, and man is kind of taking a step back, if the man is even around, kind of just like going off into the dark and not stepping forward and being who God made man to be. and God made and created him in his image, and gave him dominion over everything that God had created. But man is not, you know, and I'm not saying that there's no men, but I'm just saying that in society's view, you know, man has failed. Man has, you know, not, you know, come up to what God created him to be. And that's to be a leader, you know, to be a provider, to set the example of God's love, and that's supposed to flow through the man. But the man has taken a step back, and so now more women are stepping forward and taking that role. And a lot of times the man is not around, so you know, even with young men, you know, there's many women that are having to raise young men because the man is not around. But man does have a role, and just like the candle that needs the fire to burn, man needs that spiritual connection with God. And having that spiritual connection with God, he will then be able to serve his purpose. He will be able, the number one role he needs is to be able to love God with all his heart, love God with all of his heart, to love God more than anything else, to love him, to realize that without God, you know, he can't do anything, that he can't breathe without God. If God is not in his life, and you know, the substance of his life, he can't even breathe without God. So he has to love God with all his heart. He has to be able to love others. So like I was saying, set that example of love. So he has God's love. You know, he loves God, God loves him, and he has that love. So he should set the example of love, being able to love his family, to provide for his family, be there for his family, to love his neighbors, be kind, you know, to his neighbors and different people that he interacts with. And man should be a good steward. And just like in the beginning, God created the animals and birds and all this, and God put man over that, gave him the power, the responsibility over that. And that hasn't changed. God still wants man to be responsible, to be a good steward, to take care of the things that God have created, and the know-how and the ability that God has given. If the man gets a house, you know, to be a good steward over it. If he gets a car, to be a good steward over it. If he has a wife, to love her and to protect her, to be there for her, to provide for her. If he has children, to look out for them and set an example of what a man is supposed to be. And man is very valuable in the grand scheme of things in this big world. And I know, like I said, man has had a lot of failures, and there's probably a lot of women that could say, man, you know, it would be a better place without man. But I would disagree with that. I believe we're all needed here. We're all needed. We all serve a purpose. And man, you know, more than just reproduction, he serves a purpose as that figure that should be setting an example and passing that love down to his wife, his children. You know, everywhere he goes, he should be spreading the love of God. And again, but he has to have that spiritual life, to have that connection and bond with God. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to fulfill his purpose and his role. But once God is in his life and God is truly working in him, man can be all he can be. He can be all he can be. He can serve his purpose. He can be somebody that in his church that men and women look to and they admire, because God is working in his life, and not only in church, but when he leaves church, when he's in the grocery store, wherever he's at, he sets an example. He's not the hellraiser or the one that people are running from because they're like, here he comes. Something bad is about to happen. He's full of drama and all this kind of stuff. But he has that role that God has purpose for him, that God can truly use, that God can be manifested in his life. And so man serves a great purpose and a role in this world. But I wanted to really talk about this tonight, the role of man, because I have discussions with different women and everything, and some of them have been through experiences with men, and they're like, they're all the same, and blah blah blah, and so they've had bad experiences with a man in a relationship, or they had a child with a man, and he hasn't been there, for the child, not supporting and doing the things that he needs to do. So their experiences are bad, and so they would say, I don't need a man. I don't need a man. But can you imagine if everywhere you went, that there was no men. There were no men nowhere. It was just all women, no men. And some people would be fine with that. Some would be fine with that. But I think in the grand scheme of things, that man would be sorely missed. He would be missed because he, just like the lion in the jungle, the man serves a great purpose and role in society. And God created him to serve that purpose, to be that one that others could look to, and for strength, for courage, for that love. And so understanding that, man has failed. And as I acknowledged on the podcast tonight, even myself as a man, there's many things that I have failed in, relationships, at church, on job, I failed in one way or another. But the thing about being a man, and a man that God is working in, and that you have that spiritual connection with, even though we may fail, the thing is, we can't quit. We have to get up. We have to continue. And even some things that I have failed in, I was ashamed of, and I would beat myself up about it and everything. But even after all of that, I had to brush myself off and keep being a man. I had to get up, because somebody is counting on me. Somebody is hoping that I will continue, that I won't quit. And I believe that a man should not have a quitting spirit. That doesn't come from God. He shouldn't have a quitting spirit, but he should always, no matter what happens, that God will give him the strength that he can get up from it and be able to move forward. And I'm not saying that, there are some things that we fail in, and we have to pay the price for it. Some things are shameful, and we have to go through it. We can't run from it, but we have to be a man and face it. And so I just wanted to say that the first role, I believe that when God created man, he wanted man to love him with all his heart. He wanted someone, God wanted someone that would look to him and depend on him, to put all their trust and their confidence in it. And I believe that any man that is in the world today, if they could just start there, loving God with all their heart, trusting him, believing in him, no matter what, that's the foundation. That's a role, that's a purpose that God intended for man, that man would trust him, that man would not lean to his own understanding, but he would always acknowledge God in all his ways. And then the other role, I believe, is to be able to love, that I have that spiritual connection with God. I believe in him. I believe that God wouldn't put no more on me than I'm able to bear, that if he allowed it to come my way, whatever the situation is, whatever the shame I have to go through, that if he allowed it to come my way, that he had a purpose in it. He had a purpose in allowing that in my life, and that he has equipped me to endure and go through whatever it is that he allows. But a man must be able to have that love that comes down from God, and then being able to share that love with his family, with his neighbors, with his coworkers, just having that love that everyone can see and feel, that it's coming from God. They know it's not the man, but the man has something in him that only God could have given him. And that's being able to share that love with others. And then the third thing is just being a good steward. Being a good steward. I mean, there's one scripture said a man talks about a man finding a wife, and how, and it's a good thing if when a man finds a wife. And if you have a wife, God gave you a wife, then you have to be able to love her, to protect her, to, don't abuse her, but be there for her. Someone she could look to for strength. And he didn't give her to you to abuse her, but to love her. Be a good steward, be a good caretaker, look out for her. And if you are able to accumulate things, a home, a car, whatever it is, that you'll be a good steward over it, and that you will take care of it. And that's what God wants us as men, to be good stewards, to be able to, the things that, because even the things that, in the days that God created, the heaven and the earth, and all the animals and different things, and in that time frame, he created all those things. But when he created man, he gave the man abilities, knowledge on how to build things, create things. And even those things we should be good stewards over. We should not abuse them, but take care of them. And so the role of man is, I don't believe it's anything that should be taken lightly. That, and I'm going to say this because I don't want anyone to feel that this is just about man, because it's about woman as well. But just like a man has his role, a woman has her role as well. And it's amazing when the two are fulfilling their role, their purpose, and how they can, be one, and being able to work together and accomplish things together. It is an awesome thing to be able to see that, when two people are really serving their purpose, and being active in their role. And so I was thinking about the body, how each part of the body serves a purpose. And the scripture was talking about one body, but many members of the one body. And there's no big I, a little you, but we all, even the littlest member of the body, serves a purpose. And one even like if you stubbed your little toe, and it's something about that it throws the body out of whack. The body's like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on? There's something happening down there with that toe. And just that little member, it sends a signal throughout the body that something is wrong. And I can see that in our society, 2018, how that man, you know, there's this signal that's being sent out that something is wrong, and it's because we as men are not fulfilling our purpose, and so it throws everything out of whack. That's why there's so many single family, single parent family where the mom is the only parent that is around, and it's because it's out of whack. Things are out of whack because man is not in his role, in his place as being the head of the household, being the one that is looking out for the family, being that protection, and making sure that he's in place, that the family can function the way it needs to function. And I was thinking about, and this is kind of funny to me, but I remember when I was growing up, and we were over at my granddad's home, and but they weren't there. We were like stayed the night over there, but we were the only ones there. My family was the only one there, and somebody had broken the house, and I remember I remember the male of the house at the time. He was like, he told the wife, he's like, go and see what's going on. He heard the noise in there, but he's like, go see what's going on or whatever. And that is not the way. That is not the way. The man should be the one that if there's danger or anything going on, that he should be the one to go forth and face it. And I know that there's a lot of women, strong women out there, that they would be up and with their gun or their wall spray or something, ready to defend themselves, and that's great. But I believe that's the purpose of man, is to be that one, that protector, the one that's looking out for the family, and not pushing the woman out there. And I feel that's what's happened in our society, is that woman has been pushed out front to lead and to be responsible for everything. And I just want to say to all the women out there, the ladies out there, that you all are doing a wonderful job, with families and in the community and supporting and all that you do. You're doing a great job. But just imagine if a man was to really fulfill his role, his purpose. And I'm not saying that all men are not doing what they need to do, but there are so many that are MIA and not doing the things that they need to do. But we're praying that God will allow the men that are not doing the things that they need to do, that he will allow that spiritual connection, allow them to have that connection with him. That man will be able to, his eyes will come open, and he'll be able to see that, hey, I am great because my God is great. And that if I can let him be first in my life, that I can fulfill my purpose and my role, that I can be the father, I can be that mentor, that I can be that, neighbor or that coworker or that church member, that I can be all of that I can be a help in my community and society as a whole. And if we have more men like that fulfilling their role, it would only make things better. And I know there are some men that are there for their families and everything, but they don't have the integrity, and because they don't have God. And without God, they can't have that. They can't have, that integrity and that commitment and loyalty, that, I'm not trying to destroy everybody, but I want to be a help. And that whether you're black, white, whatever your nationality is if when you have the love of God and that connection in him, you start to lose sight of those things, that you'll help the next man, or you will help a woman that is in need or whatever. But you first have to have that relationship, that spiritual connection with God, before you're able to do any of those things. So I just want to encourage every man out there that we serve a great purpose and a great role in this world, and the whole creation everywhere is looking for a man. They're looking for somebody to take the lead, to get up off your behind, whatever you're doing, or you're feeling sorry for yourself. But we got to get up and we got to start moving and be a asset, and not a hindrance, not a problem, but being an asset. That I'm not going over to my girl's place and eating up her groceries, and she's on food stamps or whatever, and I'm just going over there eating up everything, laying up and all that kind of stuff. No, we have to be men. We have to be able to lead and to be able to reach so many women. I grew up, my mom, pretty much a single parent of six children, and my mom was doing everything, she could do to make sure we had what we needed. And I saw that, and I was like, man, I admire my mom for that. But then I was thinking about how great it would have been to have a father there, um, to take that pressure off of her, where she did not have to sit up at night worrying about, how are we going to do this or how are we going to do that, but having that man there to say, hey, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. I'm here, and you can count on me. And so man plays a great role. I hope that those who are listening or will be listening, that this is not taken in the wrong way, of that it's another podcast or talk about trying to just put man on a pedestal, because I don't believe man should be put on a pedestal, but I believe that man should fulfill his purpose and take his rightful place that God gave him from the beginning. And God gave him a great responsibility and dominion over everything he had created with his hand. And so man, just like Dan, is needed and serves a great purpose. And so I hope that if you have any thoughts on this podcast, I hope that you will share, comment, or like it, or but I really want to see our men, especially in our black communities, that we will rise up and be men indeed, that are led by God, that are controlled by his spirit, because there are many spirits and that are out in this world, and we can find ourselves getting caught up in all kinds of things as men, black men, and then we're no good to our families and to our communities. So I hope that every man, it doesn't matter what your race is, that you're stepping up and you're being the man that your family, your friends, your church members, that they all can look to you and they can say, man, that is indeed a man that is fulfilling his role, his purpose, that he's not running from a responsibility, but he's stepping up to the plate and doing the things that a man should do. So I hope that, everyone that is listening to this or will be listening later, that I hope that this has been a help or been some words of encouragement. But man does play a great role in the grand scheme of things. And with that, I want to say good night and continue to follow me on iTunes. Fred Speaks is on iTunes, so you can subscribe there and be able to listen to all of my episodes. So with that, I want to say we will talk to you later. Looking forward to another great episode on next week. Thank you.